here's your wrestling news for October 3rd, 2021. And your headlines for today include WWE announces more draft picks on Talking Smack, Goldberg set for WWE Draft Night 2 edition of Raw, Triple H trends for all the wrong reasons, Backstage updates on Eva Marie and Nia Jax, reason for their absence, WWE's network partners don't want Ric Flair back, Brock Lesnar and Ric Flair scheduled for Joe Rogan's podcast, former WWE star Teases signing gets new hosting gig, why Kenny Omega ranked above Roman Reigns on PWI Top 500 list, Vince McMahon still involved in messy lawsuit, and more. We are kicking off today with WWE's draft, which began this week during SmackDown, but the picks didn't stop after the Blue brand went off the air. On Talking Smack, a total 19 superstars were drafted, including 24/7 champion Reggie, who is staying on Raw. In addition to Reggie, the Red brand also chose John Morrison, R-Truth, Drake Maverick, T-Bar, Akira Tozawa, Otis and Chad Gable, Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz, Nia Jax, Doudrop, and Tony Storm. The fact that Raw picked two teams, Alpha Academy and Crews and Aziz, is an interesting call and could be a much-needed boost to Raw's tag division. As for SmackDown, they choose Aaliyah, Drew Gulak, Mace, Mansoor, Mustafa Ali, and Tony Storm. Aaliyah is arguably the most interesting pick, as her call-up to Raw earlier this year never saw her debut for the Red brand, and a move to SmackDown and a feud with a veteran like Charlotte Flair or Naomi could be exactly what she needs. It'll be interesting to see which of these 19 names makes the biggest impression when the draft results are confirmed after Crown Jewel, and who goes where next week when Night 2 of the 2021 draft happens on Raw. Tomorrow night's show will be Night 2 of the WWE draft, but we'll also see an appearance by Bill Goldberg. Goldberg will be on Raw to confront Bobby Lashley, furthering their feud ahead of a rumored match at Crown Jewel, and tomorrow will be the Hall of Famer's first live appearance since SummerSlam. Lashley is also eligible to be picked during tomorrow night's Raw, so he may not be a Raw superstar for much longer. But he'll also have to contend with a very irate Goldberg who's hungry for revenge after what the Almighty did to Gage at SummerSlam. NXT 2.0 news next, as few stars have impressed since the brand relaunched more than Braun Breaker. Despite the debate about whether WWE should let him use his family name of Steiner, Breaker has been booked consistently well, and in a fan-voted poll, was praised as having the best debut in NXT 2.0. It's not just the fans who are on board with Breaker, as during After the Bell, Raw Tag Team Champion Riddle praised the second-generation superstar with an interesting comparison. The guy's pretty stacked. I mean, right now he reminds me of a younger Goldberg. I feel like him on the mic, he's very short, very intense in the ring, he's not doing a lot of dips and dives, but he definitely gets the job done. When I think about breakout stars, when I think of up-and-coming future guys, and I see that guy, I think, yeah, that guy in 3 years could be fighting for the World Championship. Riddle's beef with Goldberg is well documented, which makes this comparison all the more interesting. And we'll have to see if the original Bros prediction comes true about NXT 2.0's hottest new star. Speaking of NXT, Triple H continues to recover from his recent heart scare, but the game was trending on Twitter this week for something WWE would rather fans forget. In a tweet, the WWE on Fox account asked fans what match outcome from history they'd like to change, and there were plenty of options offered. From Brock Lesnar breaking the streak to the Montreal Screwjob, there were no shortage of matches that could do with a do-over, and countless fans chose the WrestleMania 19 World Title match in which Triple H defeated Booker T. Their feud lives on in infamy for its racial undertones, as the game would berate Booker with lines like, "Somebody like you doesn't get to be a world champion. People like you don't deserve it." Although WWE insisted that this was in reference to Booker's criminal days in his youth, many fans saw it as a dig at his skin color. And despite the mass support for Booker, their match ended with Triple H pinning the babyface nearly a whole minute after hitting the pedigree. On Twitter, Booker shared the post from WWE on Fox with a quizzical emoji as the caption, as 18 years later, countless fans still believe that Booker should have got his payback on the grandest stage of them all. In recent weeks, Shayna Baszler has been tearing through the Red brand's women's division as of late, putting both Nia Jax and Eva Marie on the shelf. Neither woman has been seen since Baszler crushed their hands in the steel steps at ringside, but one of them is still around backstage. According to PW Insider, Eva Marie was behind the scenes at this week's SmackDown and sold the nature of her injury, wearing a sling all night. As for Jax, this report notes that the former Raw Women's Champion wasn't at SmackDown, and the word making the round backstage is she's taking an extended period of time off from WWE TV, with Baszler's assault the way to write her out of stories indefinitely. It's also reported that Jax will be out to take care of some personal family stuff, but we don't know what exactly that matter is. There's no word on when either woman will be back, but it's clear Eva Marie will be back first, and is keeping up her kayfabe injury even off camera. During the plane ride from hell episode of Dark Side of the Ring, viewers were horrified by Ric Flair, who allegedly forced a female flight attendant to touch his genitals on the infamous 2002 flight. Flair has since had his Car Shield commercials pulled, was removed from the guest list for New York Comic-Con, and any hopes of him in AEW are now a distant memory. Flair left WWE mere weeks before the Dark Side of the Ring episode dropped, and fans shouldn't expect the two-time Hall of Famer on TV soon. When Ringside News asked, they were told that neither Fox nor the USA Network want Flair right now, with one source calling the 16-time world champion a pariah. WWE have shown little interest in bringing Flair back, even removing him from their opening video package, but even if they did want him, their network partners wouldn't allow it. Whilst Charlotte Flair remains one of WWE's most prominently featured superstars, her father may be done for good in the company, and time will tell if those at TNT think differently about the controversial legend. Ric Flair won't be appearing on any TV network anytime soon, but his fans could soon be hearing him on the Joe Rogan podcast. That's according to the schedule on the unofficial Rogan website jre.library.com, which lists Flair and Brock Lesnar as future guests of the Joe Rogan Experience. On the schedule, Flair is listed as a retired professional wrestler, and Lesnar is called the WWE Universal Champion, implying that these interviews, or at least Brock's, have been recorded long in advance. Given that Flair is a pariah, his interviews may never see the light of day, but we're sure that he'll have a lot to say about the 2002 flight if his interview is yet to take place. This year, Mojo Rawley was quietly released from his WWE contract and is kept busy since being let go. Not only did the former 24/7 champion appear in Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins, but he's now also the new co-host of TMZ Sports. Rawley will be joining Mike Babcock and Renee Montgomery weeknights on FS1, and has teased a huge announcement when he was on the Dan Le Batard show recently. In that same interview, Rawley said he wants to get back in the ring as soon as possible, but is using his time as a free agent to do things he never got a chance to do in the WWE or the NFL. With a background in wrestling and football, Rawley will bring a lot of first-hand knowledge to TMZ Sports, and fans will be able to see how he gets on Mondays to Fridays on FS1. AEW next, as Kenny Omega is both the AEW World and AAA Mega Champion, and last month topped Pro Wrestling Illustrated's annual Top 500 list for the second time. Omega's victory came at the expense of WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns, who many believe should have been number one after a year as champion and a dramatic, incredible change of character into the Tribal Chief. The AEW World Champion has himself said that Reigns could have easily taken the top spot, but during his podcast, Chris Jericho explained the Cleaner's victory. "I don't think Roman had as many great matches as Kenny did. Just by proxy of what WWE is and what AEW is, Roman might have a little bit more on the character department, but Kenny has really pulled that up as well with Don Callis. So to me, I think you picked right. Kenny is number one, and I think Roman is number two." It's very unlikely that Omega and Reigns will ever cross paths in the ring, but despite a year-long world title reign, even the Tribal Chief came up short against AEW's world champion. And we're ending today with Vince McMahon, who fired XFL Commissioner Oliver Luck in April 2020, causing a wrongful termination lawsuit against WWE's chairman. In response, McMahon filed a countersuit, claiming Luck defied orders when it came to hiring personnel and abandoned his duties last year when the league was suspended in mid-March. According to Dave Meltzer, the case is far from over, as Luck is seeking $23.8 million and was reportedly under a guaranteed contract even if the league folded. U.S. District Judge Victor Bolden has set a deadline of February 4th, 2022 for evidence to be submitted ahead of the two parties going to court on March 7th, and we'll keep following this story for updates as we approach that court date. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.